Hello and welcome to the new podcast of Let's Talk About the Football from last weekend, sponsored by Lionade. We'll get into that shortly. It's episode 12 and it's a bit of a new start for the Let's Talk About the Football from last weekend family. There's 12 animals in the Chinese New Year's. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it could be true. 12 disciples, 12 days before Christmas. 12 is a very interesting number, I'm sure we can all agree. And this is the 12th episode of the show. Now, it is the year of the snake. I'll leave that there and talk to you, yes, you the listener, with some words and an opening statement. Before we get into today's show, this was written before, I need to make a statement about what's been going on behind the scenes. As some of you know, our sponsor, Lionade, has gone into administration. What you might not know is that both myself and Martin were early investors in the company. We put money in, we backed the brand, and unfortunately, we've both been hit financially by its collapse. Now, a big part of that collapse, let's be honest, was down to Andy. The same Andy Dismal, who's been co-hosting the show with me recently. And let's just say that giving someone with no business experience, no acumen, access to the company accounts was, in hindsight, a catastrophic idea. Following legal advice from our legal teams, Martin and I have agreed to work together, temporarily, to recover what we can. That starts with this episode 12 of Let's Talk About the Football from last weekend. This podcast was one of Lionade's biggest promotional tools, and apparently us talking again might help clean up some of the mess. So, for the record, this isn't a reunion. This is damage control. And whatever happens next, we'll deal with it when we get there. So welcome back to the show, Martin.
Good to be here. Rolling, if not rickety, rooster, according to the Chinese zodiac.
The year of the snake. Okay. We have had a couple of difficult episodes here at Let's Talk About the Football from last weekend. A lot of people liked Andy, and I can see how he got to ingratiate himself within so many different organisations. But he is a liar. And with this fresh start, we need a new producer. Martin's found someone for us.
It's been a long and difficult journey. Just this alone. He is an excellent sound producer. It was last minute. There is a catch, Jamie.
Okay.
But I don't want you to be alarmed. I'm proud to stand by this man. He's on the sex register.
He's on the sex register.
He is, but don't let that put you off. His name is Rory. He's just here on the other side of the screen, and he's not a sex offender.
Hang on, what's his last name?
Fish. Rory Fisher.
Rory Fish. Okay, I'll just Google, just see what he...
There's no need to Google
done.
it. He's not really a sex offender, okay? So he got caught on a technicality. He is a good old-fashioned streaker. That never used to be considered a crime, did it?
I'd like to know the specifics.
Okay, that's fine. Well,
more specifics and a CV.
Okay, well we can get a CV knocked up. Can't
to be honest, I don't want people knowing about this.
No, it's fine. It's fine. No, because it's important.
I don't want it out there.
That people know. So what I've done, Jamie, as you know, I've been studying through this academic year. I've been resitting my GCSEs, and I've written a short story about Rory.
No, I don't want that.
No,
it's confidential still. It's not for public domain.
Started with a football reference. Graham Taylor said he could never retire from football, not because of the glory or the camaraderie, but because he'd missed the sound of the ball hitting the net. That sentiment would baffle anyone who doesn't love the game. I can't claim to understand what compels a man to expose his penis in public, but like Graham Taylor, I imagine Rory's reasons are as profound as they are ridiculous. Rory lived in urban decay, not the most forgiving terrain for a streaker. Here his dick would be chewed up like a breadstick and nailed to the church lamppost, and by church I mean Labour Club. So Rory had to operate like an assassin. Mass shootings, after all, tend to occur in sleepy villages. They spread panic precisely because they defy setting. If it can happen here, it can happen anywhere. He drove to Alderley Edge on a morning where the frost bit deep. Hardly ideal weather for a limbering appendage, but Rory was undeterred. In ancient Greece, intellectuals insisted their statues be sculpted with modest endowments. Small genitals signified dignity, reason. Large ones were considered silly and comical. A big-headed cock implied a tiny brain. Rory, ever the traditionalist, wore a light tan trench coat. Classic. He stood, half concealed, behind an artificial hedge outside a caviste. That's a wine store for you and me. Rory gathered men, women and children around him.
Whoa, I didn't summon children. I didn't say that.
Artistic licence. It's fine,
Why have you
Rory gathered men, women and children around him with the pitch of a town crier. Hear ye, he roared like a town crier. Long live the Queen, he declared. I'm not sure why he felt this was a befitting tribute to Her Majesty, but rest assured this was held on the day of her state funeral. With that, Rory flung open his jacket and began gyrating his member, which flapped in the cold air like a windsock over the M62. Gasps rippled amongst the villagers, unsure how to confront a naked man because they were middle class. Rory swung right. This one's for Hitler. Then left. This is for Stalin. He was unclear on ideology. And this one, he growled, is for you centrists. Rory hated centrists. We don't know why. He does need to explain all of this. With that, he took an iron grip of his fleshed jimmy and protracted it forward like a party balloon animal, i.e. a snake. Enough was enough. A mild-mannered man intervened, gripping Rory's arm with the restraint of a PTA chair. That's enough, mate, he said, implausibly. Empowered by his gallantry, others followed. Together they tackled Rory into a nearby flower bed. Rory expected a slap on the wrists, but this wasn't 1970s Britain. This was 2022. Britain. By cocking his penis like the pump of a shotgun, Rory had unwittingly turned a half-pitiable seaside act into a one-man sex busk. He hadn't thought it through. He's not a rapist, and he's certainly no child predator. He hates kids, he can't stand them, he told me. And yet, to you, listening at home, that won't matter, will it? Now, you hear sex offender register, and immediately you're off, like a pack of salivating hounds at the sound of a bugle. Well, we will back Rory on this show, because we're human, and so is he. I mean, he's a worse human, but he's all right.
I'm going to need a DBS, a certificate of good conduct, and up to four character references.
3.
4. I have been burnt before. Once bitten, twice shy. Sorry, I'm eating a banana now. I've stopped the Lionade.
Oh, that's excellent.
I'm not feeling great, but, you know, it's always darkest before the dawn. Basically, we've just been smashing bananas. I've had 7 so far.
You sound all the better for it. 7? I don't know if it's an old wives' tale, but apparently that much potassium in a day is deadly.
I've got to the point where I actually don't care.
Listen, I had 12 tangerines one Christmas Eve, and my head was like an AC/DC concert. I tell you, you'd like that one, Andy, if he's listening.
He'll definitely be listening. He's got nothing else to do other than ruin people's lives. But I don't know. You can just tell he's a good lad, or he seems to be. He gets you into that feeling that you can trust him when he's got no fucking idea. Right, okay. Let's crack on. Sorry, nuts now. Let's crack on with the football. Woo! Woo! We're back, baby! Football chat. We're back with the football chat. We're back with the football chat. With the chat, we're back. Back. Brentford, the Bees, fought off Brighton 4-2. Bit of a smashing game this, wasn't it? With Brentford, the Bees, scoring 4. And Brian Mbeumo he's got to be moving to a top 4 club soon.
No, you're absolutely right. He was the key man, wasn't he? The puffin-chested Mbeumo Supremo, a man who doesn't look like he should be fast as he is, but he is as fast as he is. But I want to take you back, Jamie, if I may, to Christian Eriksen. Do you remember when he sort of collapsed like a deck chair in the Euros and suffered death, basically? And then obviously Brentford came in, offered him a lifeline, figuratively, and then he left for United. And who would have thought in that moment that it would be his Danish teammate, Damsgaard, who would fill that void and if anything, better him, and simultaneously Eriksen would rot at Man United. Now that turned out to be a present disguised as dog do for Brentford, and I'm glad Eriksen's got his comeuppance, and I don't mean ahead of time, obviously, but yeah, just a slice of justice there for Brentford in the face of a selfish footballer.
Yeah, but I mean, the Eriksen thing, I think a lot of us were upset when we saw that. If we're forced to see it by some of the cameras, then I want to know that he's dead. I want to know. I want to. I've got a bucket list. I want to. I missed the Mark Vivian Foe thing. It would have been nice to be able to say I've seen someone die.
Well, I have seen someone die, actually, after a 5-a-side at the Soccer Dome in Manchester. Now, I went back with a car of 4, and before we get home, we used to stop off at a Sayers. It's a pie shop chain in Merseyside. Jamie, we didn't stop off for that Sayers.
You didn't? You didn't get a pie?
No, out of respect. I mean, there was barely a conversation all the way home. Felt wrong.
Were you hungry?
I was hungry for justice. Well, I mean, there was no injustice necessarily. It wasn't a murder. It was just it was a man of about 30 who just collapsed for reasons I shall never know.
You know what? I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm hearing a podcast idea. I'm thinking maybe we could get someone to do some sort of PI investigation into this. Find out who he was, how he passed, why he passed, what his goal record was. Everton 0, Manchester City 2. This, of course, quite an historic game, as it was the last game that Everton will play at Goodison against Manchester City. Bit of a sad one, that.
Two words, Jamie. Michael fucking Keane. So earlier this season, they played Keane and Ashley Young in defence. Now, this duo were responsible for so many goals, and that was a shaky back four. Now, the more the fans called out for Dyche to replace Keane, the more he dug his heels in, kept him in, and that was until Keane got injured for a couple of games, and then he was forced to bring Branthwaite in defence. And, Jamie, that defence improved like that. Okay? That I don't know. Rory, can you get the sound of that? It's a click. Now, when Moyes came in, his first act was to take out Young, right, and put in Jake O'Brien. And that back four has looked impregnable since. Well, for 52 minutes yesterday, Everton were safe as houses. That game had 0-0 written all over it until Tarkowski got injured and the lesser spotted Keane replaced him and absolutely turned the game on its head. He was diabolical. Suddenly, City looked like scoring every time he got or was near the ball. And eventually O'Reilly, he crept in while Keane was asleep at the wheel. And honestly, that he has wholly and solely cost Everton that game. And he should never be allowed to kick a Premier League football for the rest of his days. And I'm angry, Jamie. You can probably tell.
O'Reilly?
Yep.
Oh, really?
I did wonder.
So I'm just thinking now. So I could ask Rory to just make any kind of noise post-edit. So if I can ask him to... I feel like God. What about just the sea rumbling? Could we get that, Rory?
Giving us the nod there. I think that's done. You can take that as done.
I like that. Thanks a lot. West Ham, Southampton. Any thoughts on that? Absolute dirge fest?
No.
Sunday, Fulham. Oh, fucking Chelsea cunts, man, aren't they? Why didn't they just let Fulham beat them 1-0? Fulham are a nice team. Playing a lot of white. Lovely. Chelsea are just fucking horrible, horrible individual cunts. Like when you see chewing gum on the floor, and you see so many, don't you, in the UK, adorning the pavements of the UK, several chewies. That's what the Chelsea players are like. They're fucking horrible, horrible, horrible people. Martin?
You're absolutely right. And I think we've said it before, haven't we? Fulham, the pod's third favourite team, which is never a good thing to be, because it means you're effectively inoffensive. And that's what Fulham is, I'm afraid. And you're right to say that when dirty Chelsea roll into town and hugely unlikable club, then they will hurt you, because they are a soulless machine and they don't care for your feelings. You know, sorry, Jamie. Sorry, Hugh Grant. Sorry, beautiful Tudor cottage fascia. It's a pleasant backdrop, but it is a backdrop to an ugly battlefield on which Chelsea will fling poisonous arrows through your heart, and they'll probably do that on horseback as well. And even the horses will join in. They'll gallop through your defence. They'll whip out their sizable caber-like cocks and give you a damn good hiding, a messy hiding. And having said that, this was a lot closer than that, wasn't it? I mean, Pedro Neto with his, I'm assuming, rather juvenile Willie in comparison. Sorry, lots of dicks on the podcast today, isn't there? Just flying about. But it was he who mugged Chelsea like a bandit in the glorious Fulham sunshine. Although it isn't Fulham, is it? Isn't Fulham in Chelsea and Chelsea's in Fulham or something like that?
I wasn't listening to much of that, to be honest. I was thinking, when you were talking about the horses, I was imagining Princess Diana on a horse.
On a high bloody horse.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? Let's go to the next game of the weekend, which wasn't the next game of the weekend, but do we need to go into Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth?
Hey, listen, we talk about favourite teams. This was
True.
Our favourite.
True.
This was our
True.
favourite rodent-based Premier League manager against our favourite nudist camp European. I'll leave it to the listener to know which one's which, but I mean, obviously long-term listeners will know. But look, it wasn't a memorable game. Those managers will have sat down afterwards, exchanged some eggs, and they'll have said, look, happy Easter. Let's go home to our loved ones, gorge on a bit of chalk, and let's never reflect on that game ever again.
Martin, what have you been doing in the last few weeks?
Well, obviously, I've been brushing up on my GCSEs. I've obviously been listening to the show. Let's just say different. And just watching some football, obviously.
Yeah, watching football. Okay. Fair play. I was just wondering. Okay, Ipswich 0, Arsenal 4. Well, I mean, if you had any sense, you were putting as your ass man chip Mikel Arteta. And that's what a lot of people did, because there was no way Ipswich were going to come away with anything in this game, especially not after they got set down to 10 men.
No, it was an easy victory, wasn't it? As you say, made easier by that sending off to Leafy Davis. But no, Ipswich, they've tried to stay in this league by playing the right football, but they've just been a little too shit. And I would explain their shortcomings with a pun on an Ed Sheeran song title, but I don't know any, because he too is just a little bit too shit for me to listen to.
Yeah, I've got no interest in that man. He was in Game of Thrones, though. A lot of people like him, though, Matt.
He's serviceable. He's accessible. I do think I could write an equally good song in 5 minutes. Maybe do a podcast on that. Maybe do that on a Turnstile pod.
Yeah, and I'm glad to say that you're taking over the reins of that, because, to be honest, I find that quite stressful.
It is something of a burden.
Manchester United 0, Wolves 1.
They're a horrible club, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I can put my finger on why that is. Mainly, I think we all can. But also, there's a kind of not being able to put a finger on it aspect too. And I don't know if it's because the players look like a hall of mirrors, but I think I speak for every non-Man United fan in the country when I say we all wish the very worst for them, and we're all enjoying the downfall, and it couldn't happen to a nicer club.
It's a shame, though, because...
It is a shame.
It can't get worse. It can't get worse. This is the best it's ever going to be, because they can't get relegated, because...
They wouldn't allow
There's always going to be 3 worse teams.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Well, if you want to go down the conspiracy route, I know you've been twiddling your thumbs, and that's what people do when they have to twiddle their thumbs. They start to go into the old conspiracy world, start to wank off over peas.
Hillsborough was a conspiracy, wasn't it?
I mean, technically, yes. If you're going to use the word conspiracy, what I'm talking about is, believing that Princess Diana is going to come back to life in, I think it's 6 months. Matt Letizia mentioned that the other day. I used to think he was, his name would be funny if I called him Tissue Paper.
Because of the size of his nose?
No, just the name.
Just the
name.
Just the words, yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I was sat on the toilet, if I had to reach across and get some tissue paper, I'd go, "Oh, I'm using Letizia," and I'd just think about his face in my hand, just as I was rubbing my stump. Right, okay. Leicester 0, Liverpool 1. Now, I did actually see this. It was a fantastic game of football to watch whilst on your phone, so you can just be scrolling, watching other types of videos. Just have this on the background. Perfect game of football. 1-0 to the champions. They bloody deserve that win. Unfortunate for Leicester. Wanted to see Leicester score. Didn't want it to be Jamie Vardy, though, because, don't need to elaborate there. But would have liked it to have been that 15-year-old boy who came on. That would have been nice, wouldn't it? A little 15-year-old if he'd scored a goal.
Yeah, don't know why you're looking at Rory as you said that, but no, it was a fired up Arnold, wasn't it? I'm just going to use his last name. It was a fired up Arnold that fired it in. And what was all that aggression about? He's touted for a move away. What was the answer in his critics who think he's going or staying? I mean, who exactly was he miffed by with? Who?
I think we all know that Arnold's a bit of a knob because of the stuff that he's done in the past. And it's a joke to me where you get Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, he owes the club. He's come through as a youngster. He owes the club. They should be getting money for him." Hang on. He's a cunt. And you've known he's a cunt for like 10 years. So don't be surprised when he acts like a cunt. You feel me?
I just don't know what motivated him to be angry. I don't know where the ire was directed to.
He's been getting a lot of shit from Liverpool fans, that's why. So he was being like, fuck off, this is what I can do.
Well, that's amazing. So he was attacking his own fans, you think?
Yeah. 100%.
Wow. Now that's a wow.
That's Arnold for you.
But again, why does scoring a goal...
Because he put the ball in the back of the net.
Okay, so what was the question? You're not good enough? I don't think anyone's saying you're not good enough.
The question is, don't fucking leave. You're not leaving here. Arnold says, that's not a question, that's a statement. Goal. But he is a cunt. I think we've... well, I've got stuff to do anyway, so I need to get off. But I'm not going to say thank you for joining me, Martin. But you do know your stuff, so fair play. Remember to listen to the show on YouTube and Facebook and Spotify. And the Turnstile Count's coming out this week. And yeah, that was the football from last weekend. Thanks for listening. I'm going to go and look up ways to get AI to make me money. So I've got bit of disposable income. Cheers.
Yeah, I'll take that as a thank you.